Somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years ago, an ancient human ate a fruit sitting on the warm ground. It smelled strange, and when they ate it, the world got just a little bit softer. The permanent anxiety of being an animal that was regularly hunted and hungry and cold lifted. They wanted more of whatever that feeling was. But to understand how our ancestors got it, we must start with a surprisingly simple fact. Humans did not invent alcohol. It invented itself. Fermentation is one of the oldest chemical processes on Earth. Wild yeast exists naturally on fruit. When a ripe fruit falls, yeast consumes that sugar, expelling a specific byproduct, ethanol. This chemical loop has been running entirely on its own for hundreds of millions of years. Long before we walked upright, other animals were taking advantage of it. The pen-tailed tree shrew of Malaysia, a tiny mammal closely related to early primates, drinks naturally fermented palm nectar equivalent to several glasses of wine every single night. African elephants actively seek out fermenting marula fruit on the ground, eating enough to display obvious behavioral changes. Monkeys in the Caribbean are known to enthusiastically steal alcoholic drinks from tourists. The relationship between primates and rotting fermented fruit stretches so far back into evolutionary history that our liver's ability to process alcohol likely evolved to handle exactly this kind of foraging. We didn't build a tolerance to alcohol through bad habits. We inherited it from ancestors foraging on the forest floor long before the genus Homo existed. The real mystery is when we stopped accidentally finding it and started making it. The shift from accidentally consuming fermented food to deliberately producing it brings us to a specific archaeological site in China called Jiahu. Inside ancient ceramic vessels like this one, researchers found unmistakable chemical residue. It was an intentional mixture of rice, honey, and fruit, dating back roughly 9,000 years. 9,000 years ago, before the invention of the wheel, before writing, before what we typically call civilization. It places deliberate brewing right at the transition to agriculture. And farming was a terrible proposition for a mobile hunter-gatherer. It required abandoning a lifestyle that had worked for hundreds of thousands of years to stay in one place, executing grueling physical labor for months, all for a delayed harvest of raw grain. This friction is why archaeologist Patrick McGovern champions an idea known as the beer before bread hypothesis. Raw grain is difficult to process. But fermented grain provides reliable, reproducible intoxication. It creates an altered state that strengthens group bonds, making the immense physical and psychological toll of early settlement bearable. This flowchart shows how we assume history happened. Humans settled to farm grain for food and eventually turned the surplus into beer. But what if the desire for beer is why we settled down and farmed in the first place? Transitioning to stationary life required a powerful social glue to keep groups cooperating through miserable conditions. Communal intoxication provided that glue. Early humans likely invented farming to secure a reliable supply of alcohol, and from farming, civilization followed. It's easy to view alcohol today as a purely recreational drink, but in the ancient world it was medicine, it was social infrastructure. To execute physical labor on this scale, the workers who constructed the pyramids of Giza were given a daily ration of beer. It was considerably safer to drink than untreated water, and it provided crucial calories and a shared bond for the people doing the heavy lifting. Further east, in ancient Mesopotamia, humanity developed the technology of writing, and among the oldest written documents ever discovered is this 5,000-year-old clay tablet in cuneiform. It is not a legal code, it is not a medical text. The very first process humans thought was worth recording was a recipe for brewing beer. Across the globe, from the chicha of the Andes to the sake of ancient Japan, fermented drink was treated as sacred. It was offered to gods and integrated into the most important rituals of a community. Ancient humans didn't drink to escape their reality, they drank to connect. They used it to mark births, harvests, and deaths, to deliberately separate the moments that mattered from ordinary time. It's the exact same impulse you act on when you raise a glass at a celebration or a farewell dinner today. You are participating in a 10,000-year-old ritual. By raising something fermented toward the people you choose to be around, you are utilizing the precise social technology that helped build the modern world.